Hello, everyone. Welcome to another session of the Mastermind Book Club. Tonight, Reggie Hilliard and I are reviewing an important book, or audio, I should say, from Jim Rohn. This audio points to the 10 things that you must work on every day. It's an awesome motivational audio. So here it is. What are these 10 things? Number one, we're going to start off with attitude. What did you learn from what Jim Rohn has to say on attitude?
Well, what I like about attitude, just having being on top of your attitude is that when you have specifically a good attitude, and that will, as I'll say, dictate your altitude. So how good your attitude is will dictate how high you go on a given day, how well your day will go. So I look at attitude as essentially like a magnet, right? If you have a quote unquote good attitude, you magnetize good stuff to you in the course of the day. If you have a quote unquote bad attitude, you will magnetize negative stuff towards you during the day. So attitude, magnet dictates what your day looks like. Do you want a nice day with fun stuff going on and loving stuff coming to you and good stuff coming to you? Or do you want stuff coming to you that you say you don't want, but you're actually attracting by your attitude? So that's how I look at attitude, the magnet.
Thank you. Thank you. Attitude. Reggie Hilliard, by the way, I forgot to introduce you again. I did mention your name, but Reggie Hilliard, part of our mastermind team. Attitude is very important, just like Reggie said. I'd say the only thing that I really have to say about attitude is whatever you decide upon doing, it can come into fruition. So, for example, the biggest example that I've heard of is many people want, not many. There are a few who say they want to die. And if you say it strong enough, then guess what? It happens. And we don't want that. I maybe I'm wrong, but most people don't want that. So what should we focus on? Focus on the positive. If you're always focusing on you're going to get ill, then guess what? You're going to get ill. If you focus on you're going to fail, then you're going to fail. If you focus on that you're always going to be overweight, then you are right. I can't take you out of that mindset, but it's an attitude inconvenience. So Jim Rohn is right. Work on it. Number two, communicate. Reggie Hilliard, anything to say on communication?
So communication, good communication is key because if you have good communication, it leads to there not being any ambiguity, leads to you being able to have harmony with each other, it leads to you being able to exchange back and forth where everything is in concert, aligned, right? Not to say you can't have certain disagreements, but the better your communication, that could also lessen the disagreements or lessen the things that come up that might lead to strife. So generally speaking, if you have good communication, if you're able to talk to each other, understand what each other is saying between you and one party or multiple parties, overall leads to good cohesion and togetherness, and you're able to be a lot more productive.
Thank you, Reggie. Communication. Did you ever have that experience where you wanted to say something positive and something negative came out? I mean, I remember when I was a teenager and I was learning words. I don't know, 15, 16, 17, maybe a little older. And I told this woman, wow, you look fragile. I didn't quite understand what the word was at the point. But when I said that, someone else said, why would you say that to someone? Communication is key. And if you don't know what you're saying, then you don't know how the other person's going to react. And the only way, obviously, is by practicing. And now that we have this modern age of recording, I mean, record yourself, listen to it, improve, work on it. Communication is something that should be worked on every day because we have to live with it. Sometimes I might say the wrong thing and that's not what I meant, but it came across that way. And our words are like knives that they can hurt people. So just be careful, work on it, and improve on more empowering words so that your communication is much more powerful. Number three, self-discipline. Reggie, What do you say on that?
One of my favorite words or favorite things, discipline, being disciplined. In that word discipline is disciple, right? So what is a disciple? Well, one who follows. Discipline has to do with like the things you're following day in and day out, which will ultimately dictate your or decide your destiny. So the better your discipline, which ultimately can come in the form of your various habits, right? The things you're following could be your habits, right? Or it will be, but you tend to be at that point, once you start them, to be very unconscious. So if you will have good disciplinary habits, those habits will lead to an ultimate outcome, which dictates your life. So discipline equals destiny. Put together the best habits, your destiny will be magnificent.
Thank you. Your best destiny will be magnificent. Self-discipline. We all have 24 hours. Many people complain that they don't have enough time. Well, I'd say self-discipline has a little bit to do with time, in that if you persistently do what you persistently want at a specific chunk of the day, it will become a habit, and you'll probably miss not doing it one day. Just like I do with running, for example, just like I do with my kids. Sometimes I find that it takes me away from certain things, but at the same time, our family needs us. And being self-disciplined in whatever it is that you want to accomplish is so important that you've got to be able to carve out whatever it is that you want to focus on so that your energy goes into that and it becomes more powerful. Number 4, challenge your limiting beliefs. Reg.
So there's nothing you cannot do. There's nothing you cannot be. There's nowhere you cannot go. There's none of that exists unless you happen to believe it. And then if you believe something enough and you don't waver from the belief, it becomes a part of your no. But that's not the absolute no. The no, absolute no says you can do anything. So if you have limited beliefs, it's saying that you can't do certain things, and knowing that we came into this world deposited with everything being possible, then there's somewhere along the way that you learn these limiting beliefs. So challenging the limited beliefs, if you can really muster up enough strength, determination to challenge that and really challenge that and work against it, you can get past that and get back to the state of where you realize you can do anything. And it doesn't mean you have to do everything and you will do everything in life, but just means that the things that you take on, you'll be able to do, because the truth, the ultimate truth, says you can do it. The limiting belief is the lie.
Thank you. The limiting belief is the lie. Challenging your limited beliefs. Well, I've had limiting beliefs, and then my daughter Judalise came along, and those limiting beliefs started to disappear little by little. They're not perfect, but they are much better than what they used to be. And those limiting beliefs kept me from producing things that would be a treasure of value, not monetarily, but in reference to words that that I'm leaving behind as a legacy for my kids and for those who want to read it and want to understand something about life as is meant to be, because we all should be leaving something behind to our kids. Well, the challenge to challenge my limiting beliefs, the main goal that I've done is persistently do what I don't like to do. And that is waking up early in the morning. And at the beginning, it's not easy, but once you get accustomed to it, you're challenging yourself so that you understand that if you believe in waking up earlier you wake up, the more you can get accomplished. Number 5, time management. Reggie Hilliard.
So as far as time, we talk about time as being an illusion, but the funny thing about this illusion, it seems to have a grip on many people's lives, right? So if something is so illusory, why do we seem to have such trouble, many of us, getting in front of it, getting on top of it? But the better you're able to get on top of this thing called time, the better your life plays out, because once you start to quote unquote master time, you have enough time to do exactly what it is that you wish to do. And the ideal comes down to the work you put in each and every day, whereas you become mastery of other things, your skills and other things that are part of your life, then your time becomes something that you can use more efficiently, because the same time that it might have taken you to do something before might have taken you hours starts to dwindle down to minutes and seconds or whatever, right? So if you understand it that way and you put the work in, you can master time to where time is your best friend and not something that's working against you.
Thank you, Reggie. Time management is number 5 here. And what Reggie said makes a lot of sense. I just wanted to add this, that you can count all the money in the world. You can count it. You know how much you had yesterday. You know how much you had the day before. The same thing with time is you can count how much you had yesterday, but you don't know how much time you have left. So make sure to put in some time into what really matters, whether it's self-improvement, family, work, adventures, whatever it is. Just make sure you're putting in that time to produce whatever it is, because we don't know how long we're here. And it's very, very important. And that's one of the reasons Jim Rohn has put time management in here as well. Number 6, build your knowledge. Reg.
So knowledge, they say, is power, but not really. It's potential. The more knowledge you have, the more potential you have, and then what you're able to do with that knowledge. So if you have knowledge, then the knowledge of what to do with the knowledge, so we'll put those two together, then you can really create something magnificent in your life. You can do anything. I mean, again, going back, even stepping back to where he said limited beliefs, there's no such thing, everything's possible. Right? So what makes it possible? The knowledge of it, right? But then what makes it possible to use the knowledge? The information that, I mean, what makes it possible? The knowledge, and then what you have to do with the knowledge is know how to apply it. So if you have knowledge of what to do with your knowledge, you can do some good things. The more knowledge you have and the more knowledge you have to do with your knowledge, the more you can do. So build your knowledge if you want to be able to do as many things as possible in your life. And you can never stop building your knowledge, because knowledge is infinite, right? So it just depends on you, how much knowledge you want to know and how much knowledge of that knowledge, or what use you want to have of that knowledge do you want to know. That's on you. Each and every day you get to do that.
Thank you, Reg. Build your knowledge. The more you read, the more you can earn. And we all go to school to learn how to make a living. But the reality is that after school, after you go to school, you can make a fortune by learning on your own. You could potentially make a fortune by learning something on your own. The more you learn, the more you can earn. And that's what Jim Rohn says. That's how his tutor, Earl Schoaf, I believe, James Earl Schoaf, taught him. I believe that's his name, Earl Schoaf.
That's true. That's his name.
And, you know, the more you learn, the more you can earn. And that's potential for any one of us. It's not overnight, but it can happen. It's very important. It depends, obviously, what you're learning as well, because if you're just reading about novels and you're not going to write novels, then you might as well not learn about that, for example. Or if you're going to communicate novels, I mean, there's got to be a two-way street in there. Learning is one part of the process, but then using it, that knowledge, is the other part. Number 7, finances. Reggie Hilliard.
So finance, we know, is money. Another thing that people tend to have, say, problems with, or not as so good at, just the same as sort of time, but it's just the things that we've learned, many of us along the way. So money has rules. Money's called currency. Currency is meant to move. So that means it's meant to move like water, like affluence, fluidity, right? So if you understand that money is meant to not be stagnant, it's supposed to move and flow, but not necessarily in a way that people move and flow with money, because a lot of that is just consumption-based living, where you're not necessarily being creative with the money. You're not using it in a purposeful, intentional way. You're just buying stuff, buying stuff, buying stuff that has no real value, right? That's just based on your consumption, a consumption lifestyle, which is a very transient, low way of living per se in terms of money. So once you understand that and you use money properly, you start to understand the money rules. Then you can purpose those rules or use those rules in a way that they're meant to be used. And then you'll see money show up in your life. And you can then hold on to that money a little bit better because you're using it in a way where you're investing it and using it towards things that make sense for you to be using it towards, and doing some spending for some fun stuff, whatever. I'm not saying you can't consume some things, but it shouldn't just be used in that one way. So the key here is learn the rules of money. If you don't already know, if you're having trouble using your own money, and you can actually get command of your money to where your money will start to work for you as you use your money or as you take on money in the forms of how you take on money.
Thank you, Reggie Hilliard. Finances. Most people in the world are in debt. Most people don't even have, I believe it's $1,000 as an emergency fund. Most people, unfortunately, spend their money and don't invest it, invest in themselves. That's number one. If you don't invest money in yourself, then how is it going to work for you? There's no other way. Money does work for you, but only if you put it to work. You can make $1 million a day, $10 million a day. And if you're not putting some of that money to work for you, then it's irrelevant. I mean, most athletes out there who are making millions and millions on their contracts are not putting the money to work for them. But why does that happen? Because they're surrounded by the wrong people. Unfortunately, they're not surrounded by people who understand the game of money. And most people don't know about money. You've got to be able to figure that one out as well. So what I tell you is when you get $1, put 10 or 20% of it to work for you. Maybe investing it in the stock market or in crypto, whatever is easier for you. Two is build that money. Don't touch it, because the longer you leave it in, the more it accumulates. Three, though, what would the wealthy people do with that type of money? They don't touch it. If they ever need to, they use it as a guarantee and a loan, because once you touch it, you get taxed heavily. But if you do not touch it, it keeps growing. It accrues and it will leave benefits for you and leave benefits for your future family or relatives, whoever you leave the money to. Building legacy is very important. Number 8, personal development. Become better every day. Unlearn. Go ahead, Reggie.
Jim Rohn, big statement here. I said, if you work hard on yourself, if you work hard on your job, you can make a living. If you work hard on yourself, you can make a fortune. So I'm a big, 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 big proponent. I'm a big, like self work to me is like one of the biggest things, the most important things that I focus on. Because if you work on yourself, you can make anything happen. Anything can become of your life. You can have the biggest influence on as many people as possible, right? And you also overcome some things, whereas maybe a lot of the things that you've been taught that weren't the best things. So you can really create yourself or recreate yourself, as you talk about in that statement of learning and unlearning. You can recreate yourself however way you wish to, so that you can be the best. Well, I don't like to say best version of yourself, because I just call that yourself. Yourself is your best self. So if you could get all the crap out of the way and reveal who you really are through the learning and unlearning, then you can show up every day as the person you're meant to show up as in this life.
Great. Thank you, Reggie. Personal development. What does that mean? Personal development. Well, it can mean several things. One is working on your schedule. Uh, leave the mornings for work. Leave the afternoons, as an example, for personal work. What is personal work? It could be writing a book. It could be creating a business. It could be getting out of debt. It could be a secondary job so that you get out of debt, for example. So whatever it is, you've got to become better every day, but you also have to unlearn bad habits, because some of us have bad habits, whatever they may be. Watching TV. I'll watch TV once in a while. And it's a bad habit if you do it every day. Maybe once in a while, I'd say it just makes you human. So just be aware of that. Personal development is important part of the process of being successful on the path to being successful. Number 9, purpose. Reggie Hilliard, purpose.
So your purpose, if we can all get to a place where we actually are living in purpose, it's the thing you are or do that necessarily helps other people to be who they are or who they're meant to be and do what they're supposed to do or should be doing on this planet. So when you live in purpose, other people shine in the way that they're meant to shine. That's the key behind it. Like your purpose is not meant to be just for you and living your life the way you want to live your life and having all the things you wish to have or whatever and just being selfish or whatever. It's the thing that when you do it or as you live in it, everybody else, as many people as you touch, they start to illuminate, they start to live in a way where they're moving in the direction of where they're meant to go and doing the things they're meant to do and living the life that they're meant to live. But that's what purpose is. Shining the light on other people is really how I look at it. Putting that flashlight on everyone else that they are able to be the most illustrious individuals that they can be on this planet.
Very good, very good. And we all need to shine a light on the most illustrious person that we can be. So thank you, Reggie, on that. Purpose. Do you know your purpose? Most people don't know their purpose. However, focus on one thing, and that one thing can lead you either to your purpose or to developing specificity, becoming a specialist in that field, and that will lead you to your purpose eventually. Number 10, grateful. Reggie Hilliard. This is the last one of the 10 things. Grateful.
But grateful gets me back to the first one, which had to do with attitude. And I like to talk about having an attitude of gratitude. If you're grateful as much as you can be grateful for every single thing, and people we don't realize like to be grateful even for what we deem like the negative thing, the bad things, whatever, because when you have understanding of being grateful, the gratefulness will allow you to see what the reason is for you having gone through what it is that you've gone through, or to be able to pick up on the lessons that you can get out of a thing, right? And also just to be able to be in a positive state overall is going to bring, as I mentioned, back to attitude, all those good things to you. So as much as you can be grateful, it's not just for you that you're being grateful, because as you're grateful, it actually resonates across from you or out from you to others. And you start to make it such that everything around you, in terms of you, the environment, people, and everything else, start to pick up on that. And then we end up making the world a better place. And that's not just some kind of statement that we make. It's a truth because it's an energy. Gratitude creates an energy that resonates that then, can have an impact on others. So the more grateful you are, the better you show up, the more you're able to have a life that brings to you the things that you're looking to have in your life, as well as it's going to help to bring others into your life that you want to have around you and help them to live their life of positivity as well.
Very good. Very good. Being grateful is very important. Just being grateful for being alive, being grateful for having a family, being grateful for noticing that you've been in the wrong situation for the beginning of your life or as long as it's been. Being grateful that you're aware that you're able to take yourself out of that situation. Being grateful that you're eating, being grateful that you're walking. Some people are not grateful. Don't be one of them, because what do you gain if you're not grateful? Grateful is a part where your life says, I've got something worthwhile to keep going forward. And in those negative moments in life, we need to find something that steers us clear of that negativity. Being grateful is definitely the way to go. And I practice it just like Reggie does every day. I practice it. There's many things we need to be grateful. Sometimes we don't even notice that, simple things that we should be grateful for, and we are not. One of them is just being alive, being able to breathe, being able to walk, talk, be free. No, that's priceless. Once you lose your health, it's it's hard. It's hard for people. Reg, anything to sum up these 10 things?
I mean, the most important sum up that I can give is to practice them, because this is a list of 10. There are more things you can do, but this 10 is a very good list to start with, or just to even have be your list, right? You can add to it if you want, but if you just did these things, from being grateful to having a good attitude to just you know, basically, what is it? I mean, we just had it here, but being grateful to having a good attitude, to communicating properly, to living in purpose, to you know, adding more knowledge to yourself every day and applying the knowledge, to challenging and limiting beliefs, to managing your time, you know, to being better each and every day. You know, that's, you know, I guess there may be one or two others. Communication, I said already, purpose, gratefulness. Yeah, if you just put this list into work every day, or put this list to work every day, your life will take off like a rocket. And then you could always build upon this. But very, very phenomenal list. Jim Rohn, as you know, very phenomenal motivational speaker slash businessman, had a very big impact on a lot of different communities. I love listening to a lot of his audios. I've also read some of his books, and he's had a profound effect on my life since when I started using really getting into personal development, like in a bigger way. I mean, I was always doing a level of it, but in the last 10 plus 11, 12, 13 years, whatever, when I took it to the next level, he's been a big part of that, because I listened to a lot of his audios over and over and over and over and over again. But yeah, so this list is a phenomenal list. Really look into it. Everyone who's listening, take advantage of this, put it into your life, and watch your life, you know, take off. Watch it go in the direction you want it to go, and then just keep adding to it, because you can take it wherever you want it to go.
You know, do want to add one thing. Ben Franklin had his list back in when he was alive, and he'd go up and down and checking it every day. I think it was the 13 virtues, and
Yeah.
he'd measure himself on a daily basis on one specific virtue, and he'd check off all the other ones, but concentrate on one specific one. Now, is it easy? Well, it's easy to do and it's easy not to do. These 10 virtues are what Jim Rohn tells us that we should be focusing on. Of course, they're very easy to do and they're very easy not to do. I made my own list and I did the 13 virtues, and I noticed on a daily basis, it does help when you start to check them off and to go over them and be more aware of time management, of finances, of personal development, and attitude, just like Reggie said, and being grateful, having purpose. Having a purpose is by far a reason that keeps people alive. You know, there are people who are ill, but then they have a purpose. No, I can't leave because X, Y, and Z. I've got to stay here. I've got to fight. Well, work on it, because eventually you won't have that time. And what Jim leaves us with here are 10 powerful things that we should be working on. And if you don't believe with these 10 things, and look at Benjamin Franklin's 13 virtues, and it's in his autobiography. Very powerful. So this is the Mastermind Book Club. Reggie Hilliard and CEO David Diaz signing off. Until next week, we'll review another empowering book. Take care, everyone.